All right, so we're going to go with me. Hear me talk a little bit, and we're just going to touch today. Some of you have seen some of this information, but it basically is about our system's condition and asset management. This is, again, as Ed mentioned earlier, and you all are very well aware, our number one priority is maintaining the system condition that we have on pavements and bridges. And so I just wanted to give you a kind of an update of where that system is and in its relationship to condition today. So we're going to run through this real quick. So this is the major roads. You're very familiar with this, I think. It's kind of a standard thing. It's 76% of our travel in Missouri occurs on 16% of our roads. We have a pavement goal condition on this segment of roads of 90%. Currently, we're at 91%, and around the state, the range is 86 to 97%. Cost to do these treatments is about $120,000 a lane mile, and it's predominantly a preventative maintenance type treatment that we're trying to get done there. Next slide, please. Minor roads. 51% of our travel in the state and 51% of the system, and 22% of the travel. Our pavement goal here, and the two of these pavement goals are associated with what amount of money we have. Of course, we'd like all these goals to be higher, but trying to give some scale here to what we have to improve them and maintain them is 80%, and they range throughout the state anywhere from 73 to 90%. And the range that I'm speaking to, we have 7 districts, so it's those 7 districts, but in technical terms, we have 9 districts, with Kansas City having a rural and urban, and the Southwest having a rural and urban component. So that's what that range represents. Our cost here is around $38,000 for a lane mile, and this is traditionally we're targeting 100% preventative maintenance. Next slide, please. Our low volume roads, they account for 33% of our system, carrying 2% of the travel in Missouri. Again, based on our current funding levels, our pavement goal here is 70%. And it's currently statewide average 71%, and that range is 53 to 84%. And typically we take care of these roads with our maintenance forces. Next slide, please. So those of us who've been around a while, like myself, you can kind of remember over time, we've made a concerted effort to make asset management a priority. And this is a good chart to show that. On the left side of it, if you remember, there was a lot of consternation about MoDOT roads, and they weren't in great shape. But you can see here, each MoDOT making an effort over this, basic 20-year period to improve the condition of those roads and then to maintain them. And that's what our focus has been on. And that's kind of, you see those results right there as we try and accomplish keeping those roads in good condition throughout the state. Next slide, please. Pavements are easy always to talk about, but we have another part of our system we got to maintain, and that's 10,400 bridges. We have just kind of 209 major bridges. Those are bridges with 1,000 feet from abutment to abutment. And our typical bridges are we have 10,000, nearly 200 of those. There's a lot of bridges around the state, as you can see, and average cost for those, you can see the difference. $268 to replace a bridge per square foot. That's about 17% of our work, and that goes all the way down to rehab at about $36 a square foot, and accounts for about 69% of our work. And one of the things that we've always talked about is we kind of keep about 900 bridges in poor condition. That's about what we can do at our current funding level. But really, 300 is optimum. So having to make hard decisions here. Next slide, please. This is the measles map. We call it kind of funnily, but it really is. These are those 893 poor bridges around the state. Notice there's not a lot down in the south central part of the state, national forest there. So less roads, less bridges. But there's a healthy sampling throughout the state of these poor bridges. Next slide, please. Now, this is similar to that pavement chart, number of poor bridges. So we're measuring how many. You can see Safe and Sound there around 2010-11 really starts to take effect, and we knock some of those out. But you can see it's starting to go back up a little bit, and we're concerned about that, especially given this next slide that you'll see. So distribution of bridges by decade. So this is when bridges were built. This is a slide that kind of illustrates, what we have coming. And as you can see in the 50s and 60s, after the war, World War II, a lot of money was put in, or a lot of investment was put into infrastructure investment, notably in bridges. Now are coming to the end of their useful life and will quickly be on the horizon of us to do something about. So they're right there. It's got MoDOT staff pretty concerned about those bridges coming. About 60% of our bridges are over their intended life. Asset management needs. This is just a graph showing that asset management needs in dollars, if you will, and it's basically pavements. Typical bridges and pavements are the blue. And then major bridges, we fund those centrally. And the spike you see at the beginning, that's things like Roachport and Buck O'Neill. And we've got some others coming in there, but this just kind of shows you that the cost is not going down, but going up. Inflation is a key factor here in trying to meet the goal with the level of investment that we currently have in the state of Missouri. I think that's the last slide. Yes. So with that, let's see if we have any questions here. Going back to the top. Someone asked, why are 10% of the major routes not paved? Well, they're all paved. Oh, I got you. Somebody answered for me. Yeah, these aren't, I think if you dig around, you'll find them, but we will, as I mentioned earlier today, someone asked, are these charts and graphs available online after today's meeting? We'll make this presentation available, and you'll be able to see it. It's very similar to one that was our director used in the Senate Budget Committee meeting, and it was also used in a commission workshop. So we'll get out there and you'll be able to see those. Anybody have any questions, comments on what I just presented?
Hey, Eric, did you based on the pavement range conditions, is that at a district level or is that at a county level?
It's at a district level, and that's what I was trying to mention. If you really look at the range that we're talking about there's 7 MoDOT districts. 2 of those districts have a rural and urban area. So we're really talking about 9 distinct areas when we say that range.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions or comments?